Joining me now is Aliko Dangote, founder, president, and CEO of the Dangote Group. Aliko, it's so great to see you. It's been a very long time. Thank you so much for being with us on this program. Let me start by asking you, how has the Dangote Group navigated the pandemic?
Well, thank you very much, Zain. Well, the Dangote Group really navigated very, very well because what we did was actually, first of all, the safety of our people is very, very key and very important to us. So we made sure that everything was done perfectly well, during the pandemic to make sure the safety of our people is put in place. And, we did quite a lot of innovations where, we made sure that, we focus on our own supply chain. And then apart from focusing on our supply chain, we made sure that, we cut cost and to make sure that, everything turns out to be okay. So at the end of the day, the result was that we did much, much better. In the cement business, we did 37% more than 2019 in terms of profit after tax. And then we did about 35% in the food business, after tax, our profit after tax. So when you look at this, really, we thought we were actually going to go into the negative during the 2020 results, but we came out much, much better because of all the innovation we put in place.
What kind of innovation? Could you give us an example of maybe one of the things you did?
Well, one of the things that we did actually, was to make sure that we, the supply chain was done perfectly so that there won't be any disruptions. Because if you remember, there are quite a lot of lockdowns all over the place. So we needed to make sure no disruption in our supplies. And then, the market also went up, the demand of our goods went up because we were able to supply our goods right on time and also to satisfy the customers. So with that, really, it gave us a lot of, headroom to make sure that we did a lot of volume, and that actually translated into making more money.
What kind of investments are you making in Africa right now?
Well, right now in Africa, we're making quite a lot of investments, totaling about $19 billion. We are doing the single largest refinery of 650,000 barrels per day, which is almost 1/3 of Nigeria's production. And we'll produce all sorts of, kerosene, aviation fuel, all the, this. So when we finish, we'll be able to supply Nigeria fully, and we'll be able to also supply the other countries in sub-Saharan Africa with their petroleum, demands. But why are we doing that? We're doing that because if you look at it, the sub-Saharan African countries, all of them, they import what they consume in terms of petroleum products. And that's why we believe that it is totally necessary, for us to make sure that, yes, we actually take out this burden of importation of petroleum products by now putting up this big size of, refinery. Then we have the other one, which is the petrochemical. We're doing polypropylene and polyethylene to the tune of 1.35 million metric tons, which will satisfy all the demands of the sub-Saharan African, countries in terms of polypropylene, polyethylene. The third one we're doing is the fertilizer, which is urea, 3 million tons. Is going to be the only urea plant in the sub-Saharan African countries, which will be able to supply to all the other major consumers within the within the sub-Saharan African continent. So that can actually help to boost our agriculture, and we don't really have delays in terms of supply of our own urea demands. The fourth one is the port. We had to build a mini port which can take about 4 ships to be able to bring in goods and also be able to transport goods out for exports.
Well, where are you intending to export the fertilizer?
Well, The export of fertilizer, I don't believe that our first shipment, which will happen by end of June, beginning of July, is going to Louisiana in the United States of America. But majority of our export is going to be in, in Brazil. Brazil will take majority of our supplies. So apart from meeting the domestic demands, we are now going to be able to earn quite a lot of money exporting the goods to the South American countries.
Let's focus our conversation a little bit now as well on the continent itself, on the intra-African trade. And the really big deal in Africa is the African Free Trade Continental Area Agreement. Could you tell us a little bit about why it's so important and whether you think it will give Africa a real boost?
Well, then definitely it is going to give Africa, the AfCFTA will actually create the largest free trade area in the world. You have to get that, measured by the number of participating countries, because you have 54 countries that will be participating. And also you have a population of 1.3 billion people. So this will actually create quite a lot. And as you know, we have a combined GDP of about 3.4 trillion as of today. The boost will come within the next about 5 to 10 years, where now we are going to move from the intra-trade of only 16% to now 52%. If you look at it, even Asia is 59% and Europe is 68%. So this will actually help in terms of creating a lot of jobs, because by 2034, as you know, we will have about 1.1 billion working class, by that period. So I think this will actually help to boost the economy of all the African countries. The smaller countries where they actually don't have their markets, they now have a market. So that's what we are actually looking at.
And just briefly, Alhaji, what do you think the most important thing anyone looking at Africa today from an investment standpoint should understand about the continent? You've talked about the CFTA, the potential opportunities that exist. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us as a final thought?
I think as a final thought, in Africa, you need to look at first, agriculture. We have 60% of the world's arable land where we can actually, grow a lot of food and, export, where majority of other countries, they actually run short of land. We have the best climate. We can grow almost anything. So what we are now trying to do is to focus on manufacturing and agriculture. These are our strengths in Africa. So I believe we can do quite a lot by feeding the world, the sky is the limit. Apart from that, we will now go into, because a lot of countries in Africa, they have a lot of gas reserves. So when you look at that, it will help us to now do a lot of, polypropylene, polyethylene, all the petrochemicals. So we can be a hub in terms of supplying the world with their LNG, with their, petrochemicals needs.
Aliko Dangote, thank you so much. Really great to see you. Great to speak to you, Alhaji. I hope it's in person one day very soon. Thank you.